Oh, hi. Yeah, I couldn't think of an intro skit this time, so, let's just cut to the intro. Greeting watchers one and all, the Watchful Pony here, and welcome back to another episode of Watchful's Watchings. And today on Season 9 of MLP, we're getting a Twilight episode finally. I make it no secret that Twilight is not just one of my favorite characters in MLP, but one of my favorite characters period. And there might come a time where I do a full analysis piece on that, but for now we're gonna stick to the episode. But honestly, this is not one of the episodes I point to when I want to point out that Twilight is one of my favorite characters. Why is that, you might be asking? Well, let's start from the beginning. Our episode opens up with a delivery from Derpy herself, and you can instantly hear the entire fandom forgiving this episode for all of its faults. For me, however, it's gonna take more than fan service for me to forgive this episode. Not that kind of fan service, save it for Derpy Boro. Anyway, it turns out Derpy was delivering all of Twilight's old stuff from her place in Canterlot. Personally, I think it's odd considering it's been in-universe 2 years since he left, but whatever. However, it turns out she has an overdue book in there and has to return it. And thanks to shenanigans, we find out that she may have actually lost her job because of Twilight's late book. Oh no, she may have lost her job because of Twilight and Twilight's having an anxiety attack? I'm sure I don't see where this is going at all. Okay, but in all seriousness, this is one of the biggest problems with the episode. I know I always say being predictable isn't automatically bad, but dear God, this is one of the cases where it is bad. I'm sure most people knew exactly where this is going from the very moment it started, and they really don't do anything to mix things up. Honestly, the description I thought was way more interesting than the actual plot. Because from the description, it made it sound like the librarian was going to be mad at Twilight and Twilight was going to do everything in her power to get her back to her job. Now that sounds more interesting, why didn't you do that? Hell, they could have based it around the Twilight miniseries plot and it would have been better. Yeah, you heard me. The Twilight miniseries is boring to tears, don't get me wrong. But at least the plot didn't make me want to bash my head in with how predictable it was. In fact, if anything, it was far more interesting than this, and had some commentary on reading. Honestly, they could have kept that plot and kept everything else in this episode because, honestly, the rest of the episode is not half bad. Honestly, my only other problem is that Twilight could have been toned down because, yes, he comes off as really cringy in this episode. And again, keep in mind, Twilight is my favorite character, so I'm not saying that out of malice. It's just honestly how I feel. But it's not to say she's insufferable all the time, she can still be pretty funny sometimes. Like her obsession with sniffing books, which admittedly is weird, but I can't exactly judge, considering I do like the new game smell I get whenever I get a new video game. But not to mention, that is another thing I do like about this episode, the comedy. I find this episode to be very funny even on rewatches. From Spike lugging around the mailbag to Twilight's freakouts in the beginning, to the librarian literally being the most boss granny you will ever meet. There are really fun and entertaining moments in this, which kinda makes it all the more heartbreaking when there are so many bad moments as well. Most of them stemming from the story beats and the story elements. The only narrative thing I do like is the message and the ending. Yeah, it's a typical you don't have to be perfect kind of message, but because it's Twilight, it works very well. Twilight is quite literally someone who is the definition of a perfectionist. We have seen time and time again that she will check, recheck, plan plans for plans, and go into downright neuroses over little details. They set it up very well in this episode that this is someone who needs to learn this kind of message. And it's done very well because I know quite a lot of people that still need to learn this message. That you're not going to be perfect and you need to stop worrying about the little things in life. Something that even I struggle with if I'm being perfectly honest. So I can at the very least appreciate this episode for teaching that message. I do, however, just wish the rest of the episode was as good as it. No, I don't think this is a bad episode. I mean, after all, it does have good elements like the message and comedy, but the story is way too predictable for me to enjoy it, and at times it can be pretty cringy if I'm being totally honest. It's not bad, it's just mediocre. And I think that's the best way I can leave it at. Hopefully the next episode will be much better. But before I go, since this episode is a bit on the short side, I do have a very quick announcement to make. First of all, I want to apologize if my content's been very slow as of late. Those copyright strikes I got on my collab with Season really did destroy my motivation if I'm being totally honest. Thankfully, I do have a friend of mine that's re-editing it to be much more friendly for YouTube, but I don't know how long that's gonna be, sadly. So all I can say for that is that it'll get done when it gets done. However, honestly, there'll probably be maybe 1 or 2 more episodes, but after that, I'll be going on a bit of a mini hiatus again. I was originally going to do the new Godzilla movie, but I figured it's the end of the month, I might as well focus on MLP reviews since I'm falling behind on them. So yeah, 2 more MLP reviews and then another hiatus. You're probably wondering why another hiatus? Well, that's because next month is going to be pretty busy for me because I'm going to BronyCon! That's right, BronyCon 2019 is fast approaching. And I honestly can't wait to attend the last BronyCon with all my friends. So many that there's way too many to count in this one video alone. But needless to say, while I won't be running any panels, I will be around the convention center if you want to say hi. I'll mostly be hanging out with friends and around the vendor hall. It's the last BronyCon, so I intend to make it the absolute best. And I'm hoping I not only see some of you guys there, but you also help me in making this the best BronyCon ever. And that's pretty much all I wanted to say. Thank you so much for staying to the end of this video. I'm the Watchful Pony, and this is why I Brony. I'll see you guys next time.